My interpretation of the slave ship myth. For many years, from my early studies till the present time, somebody has to help me understand or give me a logical explanation of this constant photo that we utilize to describe my so-called ancestral travel accommodations to America. Now, you are familiar with this drawing of this incredible slave ship, so-called slave ship, that is packed like a sardine can. Quite interesting. That was the first impression I had as a kid. But anyway, according to what I was told, a member of one of my ancestors, one family member of mine, according to what I was told, had actually survived this sardine-like journey. And I was like, wow, that's heavy, how, I got, that's incredible to me. I'm a very curious, I was a very curious kid, very, trust me. And, I ask, like sometimes I will ask very, strange questions to some people that will look at me and say, what's wrong with that kid? I don't know why, but that was, and so anyway. So, I having known that one of my family members, according to what I was told, survived this. Sometimes I would, I would meditate, and kind of transpose my mind. And I wonder how it must have been to be a passenger, because, you're on a ship. Remember that, you're a passenger. I mean, I got to relate it to today, right? Just like being on a flight, inside the plane, that's normally a passenger in a moving machine, or boat, whatever, you're a passenger. But, just like on the plane, seat number 42, middle aisle, inside seats, passengers side to side, tight, but you deal with it. And them long flights, the positioning to sleep is an adventure, it's like, wow. That is when you know how wonderful and beautiful a bed is, when you could stretch. That's why I look at people sometimes sleeping on a bench. You ride the New York City subway and you see some very unsavory, unfortunate people, fortunately situated people, I should say, and the position that they sleep in, and you wonder how is that possible. So you're a passenger, but now you're a passenger on a ship, right? The sardine can, and but it's a different aspect, because you kind of lay, according to the design. I look at it, it's like you laid out, so you're in a bed, you're in one position. I don't know how that is possible for like 2 months, like in that position. This is one of the first things I think about. I mean, how you gonna be laid down? You ever been, if you ever been laid down for more than a week, you get bed sores, But anyway, So now you lay down, but you got chains now, and you have no clothes. He said, look at the picture real close, and I see, they don't have any clothes on. Wow, so now, I think about a few because, if you're traveling, throughout the year, from there to here, sometimes here we have what we call winter, and in the kind of that certain part where, whatever, it's been cold also, like in, places in the South here, in the U.S. So now there's always also the possibility of a journey when it's cold, and you know what? I think according to the picture, I look at it really close. I don't see, a heating system, I don't see where there's a radiator there or, where they're burning some wood, to kind of warm up the cabin, right? That's another question. That's another question I had. Then, it could be cold, so I have no clothes. So that's something. I got to think about that. That's very uncomfortable, laid out, and it's cold. Now, those of you who travel, sometimes in the middle aisle seat, passenger 42, and the side to side, and you need to get up and go to the bathroom, right? And let me tell you, to get past Johnny on the right and Jane on the left, and you're not Mr. Thin yourself, and now, you got to make maneuvers. So you may ask the stewardess to please assist you or something like that. But anyway, in this situation, in this sardine can type of thing, there is no stewardess. So you cannot ask someone to assist you to, be able to go to the bathroom. Now, another issue, remember, is that, you're a chain, chain, jing. Now, there's not a stewardess or steward or whomever, there is an assistant aboard that could come and unlock the chain, that's a problem, now. To move passenger 42 on the ship that is between, passenger 43 and passenger 41 and their chain. And so now, so how do you go to the bathroom? That's a logical question. I mean, you wouldn't get on a ship or on a plane without a bathroom, no matter how far the journey would be. Now, we're talking about maybe 2 months. If after 2 months, I don't know how many times you might be taking up still everybody chain and moving all these people all together to go to the bathroom all together. Can you imagine that? How would they do it? I mean, but that's a very important question. And so I think for the most part, I believe that, they would not have toilet paper available either. One of the things we had an issue when the pandemic was in full steam, people bought toilet paper out of stock. I've never seen that in my life. Toilet paper was gone. And so here you are, a passenger in this cabin, if you want to call it that, and there is no toilet paper. Now, according to this magnificent sardine drawing of a slave ship, so-called slave ship, I don't see where there are any bathrooms, and therefore you are going to do number 1, 2, and possibly 3 right there and there. There is no other objection or whatever. That is the reality. So now, I'm passenger 42, but I'm sure passenger 43 got to do his, and so everybody doing theirs, right there and there, now. That's I'm sorry for those who have very gentle stomachs. So yes, I'm sorry for that. Because I have to be somewhat graphic to try to understand the dilemma it is for me to accept this as a real, possibility of one of my blood-related people that have been going through this. So. Remember, this will be highly intense. So now, I am also analyzing a few other things. I went to school, so, and I learned some skills, and so I'm looking at the possibility now of the weight of the chains on this ship, right? Remember, these are wooden ships for the most part, with holes and this and water seeping in. You've been on a boat, right? How many of you have ever been on a boat and, in today's age, and the boat has water in it? So anyway, so now there's the weight of the chains, right? The weight of the passengers, because for the, you're a passenger also, you might be, they may call you a slave according to, whatever, but you're a passenger. Plus 2 months of excrements, and there might be an issue with diseases, 2 months, and I don't see nobody there with a pail and a broom and buckets and clean, and I don't know where you're going to get the water. Okay, get the water from there, okay. Maybe that was how it was done, I'm not sure. I wasn't really explained there. I don't see a lot of room to do anything other than, just put the people there. And so now I possibly have a virus going around. You heard even during wars of soldiers contaminating other soldiers, on a ship. So imagine this, now you're on this sardine situation here, laid out. If you eat, I don't know how the food is moving, down and up and sideways, because the water is also moving the ship, and, and you laid out, and I don't know how many of you ever gotten seasick and you laid out like that. And so if you even regurgitate, you may choke on yourself. And so the cold may go around, a disease, some of us wearing the mask, you know what. And so now, so maybe you will lose some of your passengers. So you will lose, they will cease to exist. You have spoiled goods and missing goods. They say, it's like you lost cargo, right? They say overboard 100 million bodies are in the sea. Wow. So now it's like I studied business, and I remember in business school they said, now if you're transporting 100 oranges and it costs you $50 to transport those 100 oranges, and you are selling those 100 oranges for $2 each upon arriving the port, which will make your gross profit $200, but it's costing you minimum of $50 to transport the 100 oranges. Now, if along the way you lose 50 oranges, you just lost $100. Now, you're only making $50 on that business transaction. doesn't look too appealing because there's other overhead that is not counted on, so that may eat up even into that. So now, this is a very strange business to be involved, for it to be profitable. Right? Wall Street, about money. You're gonna make money. You're in business for money. So supposedly the slave business was about money. Right? Maximize profit. That is what business is. You maximize your profit. Now, if you think that's profitable, let's look at it a little closer. How let's see if it was really profitable. Now you got to remember and remember business is to maximize profit. So now there is a cost. Let's look at this now. There is a cost of manning a ship. It is a workforce. So that is a labor cost. It's going to cost you money to man that ship. Now, you have that cost. That's a labor cost, probably highest cost involved, right? The labor. Then you need food. You need food for your merchandise, which is supposedly called people or slaves, whatever name you want to give it. And your workforce needs to eat also. So there is a need for food. Now, how much food can you carry weighing down the ship? Because there's a limit. When you travel on a plane, they give you a weight limit. Now it's getting less and less. So you got to weigh so much, and your baggage, because that plane, it ain't taking off over a certain weight. So there's a limit of weight. So therefore, like to feed 100 so-called captured people, and there may be 25 labor force, 125 for 2 months, for a month. That's a lot of food without being able to restock. And if you restock, that's a cost. But anyway, there's also water. You need water. You need water for 125 people. Potable water. You can't get it from the sea. You cannot drink salt water, so you need fresh water. So now where are you going to store that amount of water? You got to answer. As I say, you got to give me a logical. So now the other thing is, so now not only that, now the ship itself, it costs money. You think these things were just, you're reading a book and you see it on the page and say, okay, there's a ship. Do you have any idea what it took to make that a reality? You think it, because you see it on the page, you think it's just there. But it doesn't work like that. You got to go out and cut trees. So you need people, you need labor, you need to transport it to a lumber yard. You need to cut the lumber, you need to refine it. Now you're going to put the ship together, you're going to build. There's money involved, my dear ones, to build this ship. It doesn't appear on the paper just like that. This thing has got to be made. So there's a cost. It's like buying a plane. There's money. So that's all that cost factor. And then if you arrive to port with less than what you started off with, because that's, don't forget your merchandise also costs money. You're not getting them for free. Right? Remember there was trading supposedly, and they will buy these so-called captured people in that part of Africa, right? They were sold to the ones who transported them, right? And the so-called slave ships. So they had to pay for that. That merchandise was not free. Plus you have to feed it to keep it healthy, so you maximize your profit. Then you got to pay your force. Then you got to remember it costs, chains, and that's another cost factor, and that's iron, and that's metal workers. And then you have ropes, for the ship. And you remember it's a sailing ships, right? So now, according to the story that I was told with this sardine picture here, which is the only one I've ever seen, I've yet to see another one, but I'm looking around. So now, supposedly they tell me that there were millions of people brought over here this way. And, to be very honest, this is very problematic to me. How are you going to be able to tell me that you brought a lot of people like this with all this cost involved and it was profitable? You made money. Now, who was buying the people here? Supposedly they cost a lot of money. A slave was supposedly. Now, what kind of money you know what $1 was then? And you buying for $500, $1,000. You know what that cost? You know how much that was then? But I had to work 2 years, 3 years to make that kind of money. So things sometimes I'm very curious. So somebody got to give me a very clear, logical answer on this sardine can ship that does not make sense to me at all. But the story goes like that. Peace and blessings to everyone.